Well, listen, Matt, you are one of my favorite instructors,
Oh, thank you.
especially in comedy. The reason being, well, I was blessed for having a lot of great, empowering teachers in my life.
Yeah.
And I have told you before this, and I'm going to say that on air for
Sure.
everybody to hear because, no, seriously, this is all with gratitude and acknowledging again how empowering and supportive you are, because comedy improv is not an easy thing to do. Listen,
Right.
you can't do it in class, you can do all the mistakes and make all the mistakes, but when you are in front of an audience without a script, trying to create a show, to create laughs, it's it's so scary. It was for me one of the scariest things I've ever imagined that I would do on stage. But you made it so easy, so peaceful, empowering, and supportive. And for that, I'm very grateful. I will never forget that.
I'm very glad.
Thank you so much.
I'd love to ask you back a little bit about like what about it was comforting or empowering, like to make sure if that's okay too.
Absolutely. So I hate to forget my lines on the stage in front of people.
Yeah.
So in front of camera, if you forget your lines, they will cut. You rehearse and you do it again. But in front of a live audience, for me at least, I would rather not to run into that problem. So I
Sure.
would like to have my preparation in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done a sketch comedy and lines were done and all of that. But improv without any lines, you just put yourself in front of an audience. They give you a suggestion and you just create a 1 hour show
Yeah.
out of thin air. And to be honest with you, I did not want to even get into that. But one of the things about me is that all the things that scare me, I just throw myself in
Yeah.
because uh, I would love to grow. And
Right.
I'm sure that there is growth in there. So I tried that, not knowing whether I would suck or not. I think I didn't.
Yeah, let me jump in and say you did not suck. Yeah, I think it worked out pretty well.
And
Glad to
it
say.
was amazing experience. It was such an amazing experience for me. And the reason behind it is that when I take a class with someone, I'm very concerned about how they see me taking their note and
Right.
implying their note as the technique.
Right.
So I want to make my teachers proud in a way
For sure.
all the time. And it's very reassuring when you take a drama class and you take this class and that class, that when they give you the feedback on the spot and okay, I did good, this part I have to prepare, I have to work on more, stuff like that.
Right.
In improv, how can you give notes before the show when it hasn't even happened?
That's right. That's right.
But the
And
fact that
afterwards, what's to fix? Oh, isn't it all? Aren't they all sort of novel situations? What
exactly
is there to do next time?
exactly but then with you and in your class, you gave us enough room and enough reassurance. You gave us a technique. You said, here's the technique, just do it, and let's see what we do. And then once we did, sometimes obviously we didn't follow the instructions, sometimes we needed some sort of notes, but then the way that you would correct us and give us note would still give us power to
Right.
still be ourselves
Right.
and make mistakes. And you made it so okay to make mistakes. That's the good part,
Yeah.
because you want to feel safe with your
Right.
instructor, you want to feel empowered. And then the day of the show, I was like this, oh, I'm gonna do it. So the day of the show, you were like, guys, just have fun and forget about all the things. Just go up there and have fun. Do not worry about making people laugh or be nervous about, oh my God, what I'm gonna say. And that was coming from your instructor, being given that permission to be yourself, make mistakes, regardless of what we have learned in class.
Right.
gave us enough, at least for me, because everybody else crushed it, obviously. But
You crushed it as well. You were part of the crushing of it for sure.
thank you. For me, it was like, oh my God, as long as I have permission to mess up,
Yeah.
then you don't mess up.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
even surprised myself. I did surprise myself. And it was so much fun. And obviously, I'm still continuing the
Yeah.
improv journey at UCB.
Yep.
But I wanted to again acknowledge that and thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm so glad. I find it very enjoyable. I find working with you specifically very enjoyable. And as you say with improv, that especially in the learning levels, it comes out better or worse, and some scenes fall flat. And to sit in that space with students and to be in this room and to say like, we're all going to improve here. We're all going to learn. We're going to learn together. But you're not going to feel that you're not going to feel that way all the time. You're not going to feel empowered this whole time. You're going to go up in front of people and make mistakes or fail your own expectations. And to even just like teaching aside, to just be in the room and say like, that didn't go that well, and everybody here is fine with it, and and the next one will go a little better. And it's fun. It's like that's I really love it. I'm glad I connected with you.
Exactly. You started comedy at 14.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Why?
I mean,
What inspired you? Did you always, when you were a kid, did you always know you wanted to be a comedian?
I'm not sure I want to be a comedian right now. No, I'm kidding. Um, I always knew, yeah. Well, there's pictures of me as little as like a 3-year-old, just at family gatherings, going from one person to the next, blowing a harmonica in their face and waiting for them to laugh or approve of me. And so I think that gene. I've always had that gene. And when I got to high school, my high school had an improv group, and the first thing I did in high school was audition for this improv group. And I don't know how that I couldn't vouch for how those shows went. I don't know if I'd air those on the internet these days, but it started this thing of it's been like a real lifelong passion. And these issues that you talk about of especially in improv of it's not a rehearsed show, and it's not you're not there to see how skillfully people can render a script or tell a story. You're there to like see something really happen between people on stage, and with this kind of risk of failure. To me, that's so exciting. Like I even just starting from high school and all the way up, the idea of we don't know how this is going to go is like, to me, that's extra exciting. That like that's the thrill of it for me. I would rather take the stage without a script than with one. Like I've done them both. I do them both, and I feel when someone hands me a script, I'm like, oh, you have expectations for this. You imagine this thing going a certain way in your mind. Can I get there? Can I do that thing? Whereas with improv, for better or worse, it's on me. Like it's in my hands. I'm going to do what I do. These other people are going to do what they do. And but to me, I'd rather it be my responsibility.
I love that. I love that. This is so powerful. And the trust that you have in yourself, how you can handle unexpected on stage in front of people,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the
and not
rush of
just with yourself, but also, as you kind of experienced in class, is a lot of it is saying, okay, here's this group of people, you're going to succeed and fail together. Like a lot of what you do is going to be dependent on the support you get from these other people. And that is difficult to cultivate. Everyone's nervous. Nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants to insult other people or interrupt them. And I think, I don't know if I expressed it much in your class, but the good and the bad of it is that like I think there's a lot of value in these classes and things, and certainly if you get to a certain point where you can you know succeed your own expectations and put a show together and hit the back of the bar and have fun. Like to me it's more of like a conversation between people. It's not like, let's take theater and move it a couple spaces over towards this improv fun thing. To me, it's like, let me get with a bunch of my friends and do something that's like a little bit more theatrical than just like a fun conversation between friends. And to be in that mindset and to have people enjoy it, like, I don't know, there's nothing like it as far as I'm concerned.
So true. I have done a lot of different acting styles and different classes and different this and that. And this improv comedy is like totally different once you get because there is a formula to it. You don't really have to worry about being funny or becoming funny or doing something funny.
Right. Oh
As
yeah.
long as you follow that rule or rules and techniques, you do become funny, because this is about people relating to you.
Yeah. And it's
About
also about having relatable reactions. I think that's another thing. People come
exactly.
into these classes a lot thinking, oh, how am I going to get on stage and just all of a sudden tell jokes? Or how am I going to get on stage and like say the funny thing? And as you watch improv, especially over, as I've watched it over the years, the things that connect the best, the most magical moments that I've been a part of, the biggest laughs I've gotten, let's be real, are not, and you know, everyone else too, they're not from moments of like wild invention where it's like, oh, no one else could have thought that there would be a unicorn on stage and I said it. It comes instead from these moments where you say what the audience was thinking. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the improv scene works out a little strange and someone's a talking dog, and that's not what's funny. What's funny is when you can bring your own humanity to it and say, this is what a real person might observe, or how our own humanity makes us react to these strange things. And it is, you know, like that is kind of easy if once you get relaxed and once all, you know, all the other pieces fall into place. Like if you can calm down enough to say, this is really what I would say if, you know, an alien landed in front of me or whatever, you know, silly thing is going on. That's what connects with an audience. And that's why I love it. Is, you know, laughter, you know, while people are laughing at you, to me, laughter is like it's a way of saying like, oh, me too, you know, of like, oh, I didn't realize we had that in common. I didn't realize that we would all think that thing in this situation. And isn't it funny that we found our way there through this weird process of improv.
Absolutely. What are the things I noticed in especially in comedy is and improv is that you get laughters even as an audience. You get laughter at your flaws being shown on the stage. Somebody puts human flaws on stage in front of everybody in a setting, in a scene setting, and then it's so funny when you're watching it or when you're doing it and get a laugh with people in an improv show setting. The very same flaw, if somebody tells you in your life, you get so offended. I'm not in general, I'm saying we get so offended when somebody tells us the very same flaw.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And it's the
Why?
exact
Why do
and
you think that is?
it's the precise thing that you'd want to conceal from people, or, you know, prepare more. So I'm more ready next time. People won't see that vulnerability in me. But that's like, to me, that's the whole fun of it. I mean, think of comparing it to another kind of theater. Like imagine if, you know, in a play or something, someone worked for years and years so that they could portray, I don't know what, like a juggler or something like that. And, you know, it's like, well, I studied and I worked with these people, and here I can really like watch what I can do on stage. To me, it's a different kind of fun, but the same kind of magnitude of fun. Just to throw that at a person in real life and say, I don't know, how close can you get to being a juggler with this chair, with this chair and these crazy people? And to me, like that's more of a show of like, not only am I going to see, I don't know, maybe a fun scene between two crazy characters, but I'm also watching people under pressure having fun, failing and succeeding to greater or lesser extents. You know, like it's really unfolding on stage. Yeah, to invite an audience into that and have it all work out, you know, it's thrilling.
It is so much fun. You have a major in psychology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So, well, my whole life up till this very moment, I've never had like a very good long-term plan, especially when I was young. Never, like if you had asked me when I was a young kid what I wanted to do with my life, I would have told you I wanted to be a good dad. And that worked out. That's working out. I don't know about the good part. You could ask my kids about that, but um,
Oh.
and so in for better or worse, I've gone through all these experiences and thought, well, what about this speaks to me, or what about this interests me? And we laid out all that money for a college education, nice degree. And in college, I literally thought like, oh, I like people and I like the sort of the human mind. And the classes were all very fascinating and majority female. That was not nothing. And so, but it's like if I could go back in time, I would say like, hey, how about enjoy people in your spare time and learn how to code. Go to the old computer science center a few more times. And so, for better or worse, yeah, I really took college as like kind of what they say, like that liberal arts thing of like, oh, I'm going to learn how to move in the world, and I'm going to learn how to like, contextualize media and things like that. And I imagine if I had marketable skills though at this point. And
Oh,
that whole time I was studying psychology, I was doing improv and sketch comedy, and
you were doing that.
oh,
So
oh yeah,
how did these two interconnect? Because improv basically is to relate to your scene partner, obviously,
yeah.
and just hear them and respond to them. Knowing the human mind and the psychology behind human behavior would even more complement the improv, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. I think that it probably a psych degree probably raises your, what do they call it, emotional intelligence of like I can talk to this person, I can sort of reason with them and empathize with them. You put myself in their shoes. That's something I find myself doing, especially when I was younger, but still all the time is like I'm using up a certain amount of brain power to run my own life. But I'm also like, what do you feel like? I have this, this sort of feel this obligation to be like, okay, what's everybody else? What's their emotional state? What does this person want to hear? What does that person, and whether that's healthy and the extent to which you should do that is something to get right. But I think that, yeah, in psychology, and it's like we were saying before, if you can get that line on stage that where nobody had realized that that's what the response was, but you sort of touch on something and everyone's like, oh yeah, that is true. Oh, and it happens. So it's so fun in improv scenes where, something very stupid is happening. And the person, the funny move is often the person who comes in and sees, it names the thing for what it is, who like sees the behavior for what it is. And yeah, I think psychology's really, really helped with that. And, it's sort of a different way of coming at the same subject. There's the fun way, there's the academic way, and I very much see it all as of a piece. I was very close to a media degree too, modern culture and media they offered, and that seemed even more worthless than a psychology degree. So I made sure
Stop.
I kept it all very high value with a BA in psychology.
I wouldn't say worthless because it's very that shows in your profession, the background that you have, that shows. I always wondered, how is he so calm and so understanding of people,
Yeah.
of because you deal with God knows how many students, different backgrounds, different cultures,
Yeah.
and everything was listen, the praise will continue.
I'm here
Praise
for
will
it.
continue. Stop.
Well, this isn't praise. I thought praise was coming.
um so I personally recommend to all my non-actor friends, go do an improv class, go
Yeah,
do an improv show,
yeah,
because I know, well, for actors obviously it's a great tool. We need improv
yeah,
under our belt, improv skills. But for non actors in all walks of life, different professions, different industries, how improv can improve interpersonal skills
yeah,
for people who are not actors.
yeah, yeah. I think about all the presumptions in that classroom, where we were, um, that we're going to support each other, and that we're going to see people make mistakes, and we're all going to be supportive of it. And even any and that goes double in a scene. Someone comes out and starts doing something in a scene, no matter what they're doing, you run out there and you make it seem smart. It's like, oh, we're all doing that. That's the right thing. And having done this for years and years, I think about how many times I would love to see more of that in the world. Imagine standing up in the middle of a subway car and doing something poorly, starting to do a failing comedy bit. Like, the presumption is just not there, like and so I really do, for better or worse, I think that performing improv and comedy it informs the way I treat people. Like, it's all very much kind of a spectrum of like, this is, this feeling on stage of, you can't mess up. You can't mess up until you quit, and your friends are going to be there, and no matter what. And like, I talk about this with people in business, in very corporate settings all the time. Of, you're in a meeting and everybody wants to say the smart thing. Everybody wants to say the thing and get the credit for the idea. And it's like, what if it was more? What if it was like, I can say half of a thing, and everyone else in this room will, like, I don't know, we'll see what we can make of that. What value is there in that? I can bolt a little thing onto that, maybe. And how much more brain power is there in a room with that attitude, rather than with this presumption of competition, or this presumption
Yeah.
of status seeking and things like that. So in a little way, it does really feel like I'm trying to be the change I want to see in the world.
Absolutely, because in improv, we all are after one mission of making a scene happen
Yeah.
and be supportive of each other. Whatever shortcomings somebody else would bring to the scene, we will compensate for that.
Right.
This is all support and unconditional support, and just making things work.
Yeah.
So imagine bringing that into our relationships in everyday life,
Yeah. Oh, seriously. And I can't tell
right?
you, like, speaking of relationships, like, I've known my wife since college. We met many years ago now, and over the course of our relationship, like, I think that, early on, we would be in situations where, or and with other people certainly, where I would say something stupid to try to get a laugh, or things like it. We'd be in a conversation and I would say something obviously wrong, and years and years ago, my wife or whoever I was talking to would be like, well, why do you say that? That doesn't seem to be how the world works. And I really love that, for better or worse, after having to hang out with me for decades, my wife and now my kids, there is that kind of thing of, there is a little bit more of like, I'm not waiting to see mistakes. I'm not watching you like a hawk to figure out, like, when you've stepped out of line so that I can correct you. It's like, you must be going for something. You can be in an improv group, you could be in a family, but you get that presumption of like, well, I don't know what you're after, but I'm here for it, and I'm here with it.
Aw,
And it's so fun with your kids too. Like, my kids walk up to me and say things, or like, the imagination of kids of like, what if this or what if that? And I'm very much in the mindset of like, yeah, imagine that. Yeah, it's like, I'm not here to say like, that's not how the world works. I'm here to say, like, between you and me and the world, this little world that we can create. Yeah, sure thing. I
and the
agree.
sky is the limit, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Imagine having like that kind of support and unconditional love around you growing up in that. It's
yeah.
just so powerful, so empowering for children.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's funny, you say unconditional love, and I think that, especially in performance and things, it works both ways, because if there is this presumption of respect, and if there is this presumption of support, then it also opens up kind of the opposite too, where you can razz people, or you can, I don't know, especially on stage, all these rules that you talk about, where you go over these rules in improv class, and these principles of agreement and things, and really all that is just to kind of shake off this kind of cynicism, or the very ingrained thing from society of like, I'm going to be here when you mess up, and I'm going to point it out, and then I'm going to get 2 points for that, and then I'm going to be closer to promotion or whatever. But the idea is like, well, if we go way back, then yes, I can tell you to shut up in an improv scene, or I can body slam you onto a bunch of chairs in a scene, and that's like that's that's family. That's kind of what family means. That's what friends means. People who are looking beyond like the ups and downs of this one moment, and seeing what we can what we're like together over the long run. And
Hmm.
that's just how I want to feel. I'm kind of lucky. I've I'm not the world's richest guy. There are two or three people more famous than me, but it's been everything I've done. It's been incredibly gratifying because it's like
I'm sure.
you find friends, and you find
Yeah.
and you just find those people who are like, yeah, me too, sure.
And people want to be in your aura, people want to be around this kind of energy.
I hope so. I mean, it's
Because it's a you're standing energy, it's not a no but.
right.
Speaking of
Well,
technique.
there is, so I don't know. I feel maybe kind of, do I need to check my privilege a little bit, because there is so much negativity, and there are people who are, so much of society runs on this thing of like, well, you and I are not in it together, and I'm gonna, I deserve more than you, and I'm gonna get in ahead of you. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's improv.